Um,
All right, so just y'all ready? I'll do the countdown.
Yeah, but I want to put it on
I think
Facebook.
Oh, my bad. All right.
Which is going to take me. Actually, can someone else do it? Because it takes, now that I'm doing all this, I can't. It takes forever to load anything else.
Sure. So first I need the YouTube link, right?
Oh man, we got a little like a COVID-19 banner at the bottom bar.
no. We should redo it then.
Bruin backhand. Bruin.
What if we did a
What up, BBH?
okay, I guess we'll all right. We got a fucking banner. I can't get to the get a shareable link. Okay.
It's so weird. I'm watching myself eat right now on my phone.
Trippy, dude.
I'm freaking out, man.
So my landlords are switching to from AT&T to Spectrum, and I said I want to figure out a better way to connect. So hopefully,
Oh yeah.
I don't know when that's going to be,
Step that.
but maybe I would just take over. I guess my other option would be take over their AT&T.
If you want that, I mean, it'll just be you using it. I figure, it'll be more than suitable.
Yeah, it would all be in my room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh, that's finally not a shitty screenshot of me.
Uh, yeah, you got to be careful not to like turn your head the wrong way or blink at that moment. All right, what am I close some stuff down here? Okay. Yeah, I'm ready when you guys are. Is someone watching
Yep.
the YouTube chat, whatnot?
Yeah, I'm on the YouTube.
All right,
Okay.
here we go.
Oh,
3.
hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right, I'm just trying to close, like minimize a bunch of crap here.
For sure.
All right, good to go.
3, 2, 1.
Good evening, Endless Ranters. Welcome to episode 77 of your Endless Ranters podcast. My name is Chris, but I'm just one of your Endless Ranters hosts this evening. I am joined by the lovely and talented Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi, hello. Lucky number 77 tonight.
It isn't lucky number 77. And speaking about lucky, it's producer Manny. What's going down, Mole Man?
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Shout out to everyone's favorite Asol Quana, Brewing Backhand, Monkey Uncle, everyone that watches on the weekly. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks a lot for being loyal viewers of our show. Pretty cool.
Supporters more like it, man. Fucking family at this point.
Well, I just like to say I was specific to say viewers because
Aw.
that's kind of neat, you know. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know. Anyway, so are you feeling lucky tonight, Mole Man?
Lucky as I could be feeling, I just finished, devouring some steak, a little behind the scenes action.
Yeah, I'm so thankful you finished that off before
What
we
kind of
started.
cut, Manny?
To be honest with you, I just made sure it was grass fed finished. That's it. I just grabbed a couple of those and brought them home through.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, man. This job's got me paid pretty nicely so I could eat better.
Did it say beyond? Did
Yay.
it say,
How's that
didn't
job
say
going?
beyond anywhere, beyond
No,
steak or anything?
I'm beyond eating beyond meat. I'm avoiding that as much as possible. So,
You shouldn't have to try to avoid it. You should just not touch it.
It shouldn't even
Not
exist.
social distance from it.
it tastes so weird, man.
Exactly.
It just, no
It
matter
fucks
how
up
much
your
you,
gut.
yeah, and no matter how much you try and season it this way or the other, you could still taste through it and just, it's odd.
It's
I've never
also
even
not
tried
good
it.
for you. There's like no point unless it's so much cheaper for some reason. I don't know how it could be, but no Beyond Meat.
Exactly.
Is it
Also,
so much
by the
cheaper?
way, I've been adding your raw butter.
Oh, well, thank you. How do you like it?
I don't know. The raw butter. So I bought a box of the raw butter that Manny drives around and delivers, and it's really good. Yeah, I've been putting it on all my steaks. You should try it.
Asol approved. Hell yeah. Go ahead and get you some, everybody in the state
Yeah.
of California. But how's everyone else doing? How's the life been since we all last hung out?
Oh,
Good. I
like-
actually went up to the Santa Maria Slow area with and I saw some of the ace holes up there. So I saw B Frank, Addie, Hi Hat, and Melissa going wine tasting.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah. Got
Shout
a couple
out to
nice
that.
bottles and beautiful weather, beautiful
Yeah.
scenery. Didn't have to wear a mask in the grocery store.
That's awesome.
I thought you
living
did have to
large.
wear masks now.
Not up there, just in LA.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe they change. I forget what day that all happened. They announced that you should, but I don't know. They're pretty loosey goosey up there.
Well, speaking of that, COVID is back, baby. Back with a Delta force. The
Delta
force of
Force
Delta.
19
Yes, it's
right
back.
there.
It's back. So I don't know what that means. I just see these headlines. I have to admit I'm barely paying attention, but I can't avoid, seeing the headlines and hearing people talk and whatnot at work. But I don't know. Nothing.
Did
I'm in
you get an
Oklahoma
emergency
now.
alert?
I did on the way back to on the way back home today from work.
No,
Yeah.
why would I get an
We
emergency
got
alert?
we got emergency alerts on our phones down here.
Just let us know.
And so here's my thing. Back earlier this year, when it was really surging before the vaccine, I would look at the hospital bed availability. They would update it on the LA County government site every week. And I would kind of track like, hey, what's the trend here? And yeah, it looked like pretty full. So I was like, oh, I wonder what it's like now. And they haven't updated since May. I couldn't find any data on it. But they do have, they've got the testing rates are skyrocketing, or sorry, the positivity rate is skyrocketing. The hospitalizations are skyrocketing, but the deaths aren't. And I'm kind of like, what are these hospitalizations? Like, I have a feeling the beds are not being used. Like, these are people in and out. They like check in, get some meds, and leave.
Right, like you need to know hospitalization,
But I don't know.
and then also how long was the stay possibly, or is the threshold the same for
Like, did they stay
hospitalization, or are
overnight?
they putting people in, hospitalizing people quicker, because there's got to be like a changing threshold as hospitals get full of like who gets sent home and is told to take some Tylenol and drink and stay hydrated, and who gets put into a bed. But when numbers are down and the beds aren't full, maybe, and there's a new variant, maybe the hospitals understandably are like putting people in the bed faster. And then I don't know, and also like are the rates of testing going up? Are they testing more people? Like, are the number of tests going up?
No, actually the tests have gone down. The number of people being tested has gone down, but the positivity rate has gone up. So that's another thing. Is it just the sick people going in to get tested, or is this like, people, because there are a lot of people that for their jobs, especially people here that are working on sets, even if they're vaccinated, they have to go get tests. So maybe something changed, like there's some pattern or trend with not as many healthy people just going to get tests to be, confirmed for work. Like you can't
imagine that would be the factors of that would be different everywhere, from like a steel town in Ohio, if that exists, if that one of those exists, or in like Los Angeles where, like there's a lot of production and all that kind of thing where people have to be in places like, So, but you're saying the number of people actually going to get a test is down. So that means it's maybe more like sick people. Like people aren't getting tested as much as they used to, like involuntarily, I think, like where now that people are vaccinated, they don't have to get tested. Like if they get a cold and have to take a sick day, they don't have to get tested before they come back to work. Or if they're, schools aren't like sending kids home when there's an exposure or something anymore with like daycares aren't, at least in Texas, they're not. So like the positivity rate is going up because the people that are getting tested are actually like people that should go get tested because they're sick.
Right. Like who knows what's changing? Like there's probably some of it is going to be like the Delta variant is spreading. Like it is like ramping up. But I'm saying without the death rate is staying steady overall, and I'm seeing the hospitalizations skyrocket, then to me that says, oh, they're not using bed. Like they're not more people having severe cases.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What are you going to say?
None of us know for sure, but I'm speculating it's a little weird. that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hospitalizations would skyrocket and the deaths wouldn't, and they're not sharing the hospital bed information. 6 months
Well, there's
ago, they
also
were
like you're
really
using words
sharing
like
the hospital bed information.
skyrocketing. You're talking about skyrocketing and like ramping up and all this stuff. It's like,
It
like
looks
I
like
don't
an
know.
exponential function. I mean, it's going
Okay.
up like an exponential function, is what I'm saying when I say skyrocket.
Yeah. Well, I think what I think, there were stories early on about how the virus would mutate for sure, and how viruses don't really mutate to like kill their hosts faster. Viruses mutate to like
To
live,
survive.
they want to live longer, they want to and I don't know, like I think Adam Carolla was saying that a few days ago about, it's kind of, the virus is like, I want to get around easier, so I want to like be more mobile and transmit easier, and I don't want to like kill people. I want to just hang out and be mild and like spread, and you know I don't
Taking
know,
the
I don't know.
scene,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bang some chicks, bang some hotties.
you know.
Just if we're gonna personify the virus and get all these thoughts, like might as well like take it all the way.
Diversify its portfolio.
Yeah.
Going all out. They're not expending as much energy, right? Like they're weaker. It's a weaker virus.
And that's what they're saying.
They're
That's what
banging more. They're banging more chicks, but not as hard.
not yeah, they're not all tens. They're not all hotties. Or they're just, he's just going through the
Yeah.
motions. He's just going through the motions. Yeah, the virus is a frat bro. He's the dude, frat bro. So yeah, it's back. There's Delta. I saw headlines that said the Gamma was found in like Texas. Then there's a Lambda was found in somewhere else, and I was like, it's just weird. Like, am I in the Matrix where it's just like they're just making
They
stuff
skipped
up?
some numbers. What happened to
I
Epsilon? Why did
I
it
don't know.
go
That's too hard to
to
say.
Gamma and
You figure the people would have too much of a difficulty repeating
Yeah,
that.
that's just too hard.
All right.
It's got to be 2 syllables, right? You got we went right to Delta. Was there an ABC? Was there a Alpha,
they
Beta,
could have had an
Charlie?
alpha and a beta and a gamma first. Well, you
What
said there
about
was a
Charlie?
gamma.
There was no Charlie in there.
No, they're using
Charlie is
Greek.
not a Greek letter.
Yeah.
I like to mix them up a little
It's
bit.
not a
though.
medical term.
The next
Charlie
one's
is
gonna
what
be
they used
Foxtrot.
in like
Foxtrot.
military
Yeah, I forget the term
sound.
that you use for that.
No, it's something like alpha,
Numeric? No, alpha.
beta, Charlie. So Charlie is gamma, but Charlie is to represent C.
Oh, okay.
Like if you're on some like phone with really bad reception and people can't understand your letters, you say Charlie, like alpha, beta, Charlie. I forget what the rest of them are, but it's just a clear way of communicating.
You do. Oh, you're talking about when
Anyway,
I don't even know. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about when you need to spell something out and you
Exactly.
go like
Or rattling off
Yes.
you go SEAL Team 6 on people. Like Tango, Foxtrot,
yeah, it's like
Boulevard.
military, law enforcement, down. These are like the pragmatic, Adam approved type of people that are like, let's just be clear.
The Morse code of
Like,
talking.
let's just get to the point. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So is COVID okay? So COVID's back. Other news, I got vaccinated.
Wait, Chris, has anything changed? You're in Texas, so has anything changed?
Oh,
for
yeah,
you?
so
like
it's
we're back to wearing masks. We are actually wearing.
You are? No, nothing's changed. That's what's weird also, is because I'm seeing the headlines and I'm seeing like all these other announcements in other states, and then we're just walking around doing whatever we want to do. I'm in Norman, Oklahoma, just south of Oklahoma City this week, and it seems pretty much the same at restaurants and whatnot. Like not a lot of people are wearing masks at all. Doesn't seem like anybody's like people are aware of these headlines and the news and the Delta, but doesn't seem like behavior's changing much.
Question.
Yes.
What is Norman, Oklahoma known for?
I guess the Sooners are here, right? I think this is OU territory. I don't know. What's it known for?
I've never been. You're the one visiting. You got to tell
Oh,
me.
it's just the university. You think I'm not really sure. It's known for the Embassy Suites Conference Center,
Maybe
Hilton Conference
he's
Center.
just there for work. He's just there to make the money and leave.
I understand, but he's still in the area. I'm sure he would have seen some things that were just like, huh, that's interesting. Moving on. Type scenario.
Right before I came in, what was it? There's the Oklahoma School of Horseshoeing.
See? You see what I mean?
Yep. Just
Fucking
south of here.
thrilling right there.
Yeah, they got night classes.
I didn't even know that they offered such
3-hour deals. Yeah. It's like official. It's like the official state. I don't know. It looked official, but I've only seen one. I've only seen one state school of horseshoeing in my lifetime.
I wonder if they have those type of commercials you see late at night. Get your degree in horseshoeing in 18 months.
I don't know, but the weird thing about when I travel is I'll like watch the hotel TV.
Yeah.
So I'll put on like the news or Fox News or whatever, and it's the only time I watch commercials these days.
What are they like these days?
Well, I saw one that was for one of the walk-in tubs. You guys, know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That they advertise towards old people.
Walk-in tubs.
I got to tell you, it's starting to look pretty good.
What is it about the walk-in tub that has you?
It's starting to look pretty good.
What's appealing?
First of all, you just walk into it. There's a door in the side of the tub, so the tub's like really high. It's like maybe chest high or so.
Right.
And you just open this door and walk into it. So you don't have to like step over.
That little
the wall of the
bathtub.
bathtub.
It's for old people.
Yeah, I know. I might start.
Yeah, when my parents
or people that like convenience.
Yeah, if you're gonna like do a house for old people that are retired, like my parents they completely like basically tore down our house and revamped it in 2008. So they made their showers. You just open the door, like there was nothing to walk over.
Sick.
Yeah. So like everything. I mean, there's a guest room upstairs, but otherwise it's like everything's down one floor. Yeah, they knew. They were thinking like, oh, we're gonna get older, so we got to cater to ourselves.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
Just thinking,
do they have old people there?
Oh yeah, they got old people everywhere. Pretty sure. So anyway, like, you walk into this tub, you open this door. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Wait, you have to.
Most old people stay put. Like I know, like a lot of old people go to Florida, like retire there. Most old people actually stay put wherever they are. Just wither away wherever they are. So, but what was I talking about?
Commercials.
Yeah, so you walk into this tub and you close the door behind you, and then it's just like a seat. It's like a cockpit almost, right? Yeah. So it's got jets in the back and at the feet and all this stuff. And it just fills up. And this one I saw on just tonight, like a half hour ago, has like a one of those shower heads, like the rain shower deals.
Yeah.
So it's like a shower too. I don't know. And this one had a built-in Bluetooth speaker, which may have put it over the top.
Yeah, that's a bit much. Everything else sounds fine. No need for that. You could, especially with the abundance of other wireless Bluetooth speakers, there's no need for that to be part of the tub.
Yeah, it's a weird thing about Bluetooth speakers now is like anything can be a Bluetooth speaker, and also like anything could just be a phone charger. You know what I mean? Like the suitcases with Bluetooth speakers and phone charging things like built in. Like, I don't know. It's like gilding the lily, as they say.
I wouldn't be surprised if we soon see a pacemaker that can charge up your cell phone and act as a wireless Bluetooth.
Like Iron Man's chest battery. All right, we're losing Jane.
Well, what?
I said we're losing Jane. I started talking about Iron Man.
I know. I hear a superhero and I'm like, ah, out cold.
That was it. But that was the commercial that really hit home with me tonight. Was this walk-in tub idea?
Obvious.
It looks pretty damn comfortable. And the jets, it's got these jets. You're just sitting like, it's like it's like a section of a hot tub,
Yeah.
just like cut out, walled off with the door, of course, and plopped in your bathroom.
I have a stupid, obvious question, but you fill this up after you enter the sit-in tub, correct? Or do you
Yes.
fill it? Okay, cool.
I was thinking in my head whether we should walk through this process together.
I don't know,
But
man.
I decided just to say
daredevils
yes.
out there that
I decided
like
just to say
live.
yes.
life on the edge.
Yeah. Yes.
Now I'm curious
Definitely
how long it takes.
get
to
in.
tub.
Well, I like the idea that it has the shower head because you can kind of shower
yeah,
while your tub is filling up, or maybe shower first.
yeah. I shower
I don't
first
know.
and then get in the tub. Like
Yeah.
sitting in your own filth juices just doesn't sound appealing.
Yeah,
to me.
you want to shower first, rinse that out and then let it fill up and then turn on the jets and watch your flat screen panel TV on the wall.
Rewind. Manny, you
Yeah.
take baths?
Oh no, I haven't taken a bath since I was a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you
was
would
like,
if you had one of these,
that
if you
seems
had
like-
one of these baths, these walk-in tubs.
I was like, it seemed a little highbrow, but you did just say you ate grass-fed steak. So I was like, maybe we're getting onto something.
I mean, if I do end up investing some time down the line in one of these walk-in tubs, I gotta do it right. Take a shower first and then get in the tub.
I
It's the only way to-
don't know there's a strong connection between
Oh,
dudes
neither.
that eat grass-fed beef and
Have walk-in
take-
tubs.
take baths. Like, I don't think there's any connection, correlation, anything there.
It's a conscientious. It's like eating grass-fed beef. It's like you're conscientious of it because it tends to be more expensive,
Mhm.
and you're like, I would like the nicer version.
Mhm.
And taking a bath is also kind of like, ooh, I want the nicer version. I want to pamper.
Interesting.
Oh, and then would he also maybe begin to write in calligraphy?
I always wanted to learn how.
Just yeah. I'm just
Here we go.
like
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
just gonna name other fancy things that are not connected at all.
I love watches. If I
Start-
can,
you
Make
start
your
wearing-
Omega watch.
No,
You start
I'm
wearing cufflinks.
past Omega, dude. I'm talking other brands. So, if I could, I'd start a pen collection. But like, we're going heavily off the rails here. I don't even know how fucking these COVID variants are tied to
We're
walking.
gonna save this. Okay,
tub.
we'll save this for another episode. We're gonna do a topic on what do we like. What do we like? What products do we like that are high end?
Okay.
What products
Okay.
we like to buy the best of?
But for now, let's take it
For
back.
that are kind of frivolous.
Yeah, and nonsensical. But let's take it back.
That's a good topic for another time.
Absolutely. Good
So let's
call.
go back. Are we at COVID? Are we moving on? Are we moving
See,
on?
we're talking
to
about
the
COVID. I
Olympics?
was gonna say that I got vaccinated.
How'd you like
So-
that process?
I don't really like it. I didn't really want to. Had
Which-
to.
Which one of your kids held a gun to your head and forced you to go down and get,
Oh, none of them. None of them. They'll be
Was
they'll
your
be
ex?
disappointed. No, they'll be disappointed when they find out that daddy caved to the man. No, I had to for work because I'm traveling a lot. It's kind of like, I don't know. I feel it feels kind of like a dick move because I'm not against the vaccine in any way. I just didn't really feel like getting it. I don't know. But anyway, when I took the second dose, I was knocked on my ass the next day. Like, I felt like I had the flu. Like, I never had a fever, but I had like the chills. I was so sore. Like every 15 minutes, I wanted to lie down and take a nap. I was a wreck. I don't know.
Did you indulge and
then-
take those naps? Or
That
did-
sucks.
No, I couldn't. My kids were with me. So I was just like mustering all the energy I could just to get them fed and bathed and, whatever.
yeah.
One of them is nursing some kind of respiratory virus, not COVID, but like
Something obvious.
RSV or something. I don't know, something that has a name. But so we really couldn't do anything anyway. Luckily, because I was like barely keeping it together myself. But yeah, I was wrecked, and then it lasted about
Manny.
24, 36 hours maybe.
Yeah. What's up, Jane?
Manny, are you vaccinated?
I am.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Since May, mid-May.
Anyway,
That was the time I received the
yeah,
second.
same.
Yeah.
But you know,
So Chris, I don't think you should.
Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah,
no,
don't
I'm
be.
not.
You're fine. It's fine to get the vaccine.
I know it's fine. I'm not really. I was kind of aggravated this weekend because I was like, "What the fuck? Like, I haven't felt this sick in years. Honest, literally, haven't felt that sick in years. I mean, although it didn't last very long, but I mean, like the last time I had the flu, that's what it felt like. You know, without like an actual fever. Like I don't think I ever had a fever. Like I didn't feel that way, but I felt like the chills, and I felt like just sore as fuck. But yeah, that was like the worst I felt physically in a long time.
Glad you
I
made
mean,
it, man.
I don't really feel bad about it. Just yeah, it's just kind of a
I mean, at least you kind of knew what it was from, like you have an explanation for it and you
Yeah.
knew to expect that and that you'd be okay. I mean, you just have to suffer through it.
I expected my arm
girls
to
have
be
go through
sore
that
in
every
like a
month. Like
circle.
we have stuff that happens to us every month that we just have to suffer through. So
There's no it was this bad.
it's kind of the
I'm
same
pretty
thing.
sure it felt worse than childbirth. That's how bad I felt. You know,
I didn't know
so
that you
don't
were
try to
through-
steal my pain. Don't try to steal my pain, Jane.
I can't argue that one technically, but I bet a lot of people could.
Well, you know, it's a very emotional moment for them. They don't really remember. Anyway, so yeah,
That's
so
true.
but now like so I get vaccinated and now like they're talking about everybody should wear a mask even if you're vaccinated. Like if we could can we all just step back and like I wish everybody like 100% of people could just step back and just acknowledge the ridiculousness of this of like the rush to vaccinate everybody and then everybody's got to then you got to put your mask back on. Like how would you explain like in 50 years if you had to explain this to your grandkids or whatever, like how would you and you have to like say this out loud, like what happened? It just sounds ridiculous. Am I wrong?
I agree. Yeah. I feel like I'm sitting on the side of opinion that we're going to feel in 50 years. So
Yeah.
we'll see for sure. I mean, what did Adam said? Sweden was down to no deaths for the past week. Like they've reached that point of no deaths, and they don't have a mask mandate. I don't know if I think he said they never did. Although it sounded like some people chose to wear masks. So,
Yeah.
they're also just you're dealing with a polite society in comparison to the U.S. So who knows? But it's hard to distill all the factors, but
Yeah, there's way too
Yeah.
many. There's way too many factors in all these different societies, cultures, even within the United States, even within like a state like California or Texas. There's so many different communities, cultures, whatever. There's so many factors. It's hard to generalize everything. But it was interesting because they're starting to talk about kids, vaccinating kids. They're starting to say that kids should go back if they're in person, they should all wear masks again this entire year, which is just insane. So I'm not sure my kid's school has not changed their plans. Their plan is that no more masks are required. So, because even though the state lifted the
I
mask
think masks
mandates
are
in Texas, some schools still did. But they ended that. I'm not sure if they'll turn it back on. But anyway, in the discussion,
pretty
they were
sure
talking about
it's mask required for kids indoors. I'm pretty sure that's the policy here. which is insane because they don't pass it, they don't spread it, they don't get it, they don't spread it, they don't they're just not a risk. Like I don't understand why we need to cover their face. And like they don't, and I've heard people argue, well, they don't even seem to mind. And it's like, okay, but you're still messing with their development of like not seeing facial expressions on other people and in public. Like I just feel like you're kind of destroying their ability, their human interactions, like their experience with that. You're scaring them from strangers. You're like scaring them into thinking everyone's contagious.
I think to some degree, I think the vast majority of kids will like get over this really quick because they get over like things that are crazy to them all the time. But like there's a there's a percentage of kids that are like on the edge or fringe or or don't have good support systems or have other mental issues where sure it definitely f's with them really bad. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I totally agree with you, but at the same time kind of optimistic for kids because like kids, like I don't know, you go through things as a kid, like you break your arm or your shoulder or whatever, and like and it's like so traumatic, but then like the next week you're like playing football with a cast on, so like kids get
Yeah,
over
that's
like
not
really traumatic things easily, but not all of them. Like some of them, like this, like kids, like special needs kids that, you know, weren't able to like go to their teachers, like special needs teachers, like in person for a year.
well, I think it depends on your age for one thing. I think really little kids are gonna it'll just kind of fly past them. But kids are a little bit older, maybe like 8 to 11 or what, I don't know, maybe
Mhm.
older than that too. But for an extended period of time to have to do this seems like not cool. Like same with divorce. Like if your parents get divorced when you're really little, like it's less traumatizing when you're a little older. But then if you get old enough, it's not as big of a deal. But I also think it depends on like being a psychological issue versus a physical. Like you break an arm and it's not like someone hurt your psyche. You just need to heal and then you'll be fine. Um Unless it's a really bad physical injury, but otherwise like I don't think breaking your arm, like we get so worked up about protecting our kids from playground, dangerous playgrounds, but really kids kind of bounce back from that stuff in general. And
So you're talking about more the long-term effect of this, because that you're right, and that is a big difference. It's like a slow burn, long extended grind where they can't interact or can't see each other's faces and whatever. Um, is that what you're saying? That is different?
yeah, and also I think there's going to be a parenting factor here. Like the parents who are super paranoid are going to damage their kids psychologically way more than the ones who were very loose about it. Because
Yeah.
none of those kids are going to have gotten sick. So none of them are going to sit there and be like, oh, I got sick and they were protected, or they're not going to know anyone that got sick around them. They're like, oh, you saved me from that fate. Like they don't have that
Yeah, they're not going to know any better.
observation.
They're not going to know any better. They're
Yeah.
going to the
But I'm just saying, like the
yeah.
parents who have been super paranoid and didn't let them see their friends for a year and a half are going to be more resentful as they get older about the situation.
I wonder. I wonder. Um, yeah, I'm sure some are. Yeah, I'm sure some are. Yeah, I was trying to think. Like, I remember
Time will tell.
just seeing your parents freak out is bad. Seeing your
Exactly.
parents
That's what
freak
adults
out,
talks about.
seeing them freak out for like a long extended period has got to be really bad. But I don't know. I'm going through this weird thing where it's like all throughout time, human history has been fucking nuts. Like, so this is new to us, but it's like, oh, we've just been crazy forever. Because like you look at like our reaction to the Black Plague and like the reaction to the Spanish flu, like we just been through this. We've done these things to ourselves, the panics and the irrational fear. We've done it to ourselves before. We'll do it again. We're just
Well,
doing
I
it to
think those
ourselves,
were
and like
actually
we're doing it to
weren't those
ourselves,
actually
and
like
like
awful pandemics? Like I thought those
yeah,
were actually scary. I'm
yeah, they
thinking
were.
things like
I'm talking about like, you know, like the plague. Like humans were stupid back then, and they blamed the cats, but the cats, they got rid of all the cats, but then there was the rats that were transmitting it everywhere, and like everybody, and
oh
the cats didn't get the, just doing irrational stupid things. And like that's where a lot of like anti-Semitism started. um I forget what country,
oh
but uh during the Black Plague, because there were certain, like, I forget where this was, but it was in this really long lecture series I watched on the plague when COVID first started. But it was, the Jews were put outside of the city, or like
Always
had
getting
to,
back to the
they
Jews, Chris.
they had to live in they had to live in separate areas. Like they had to live in separate areas to start with. So I mean, it's not the origins of it, but there was some reason they had to live in separate areas. Whatever practices they had, they didn't get the plague at the rate that everybody else in the main part of town was getting it. So then it was like these theories about where it came from. It was like, the Jews, it was like a conspiracy because look, they weren't getting sick, but they were getting sick. But, you know, just irrational, crazy things, propaganda, trying to blame it on one group or another group, um, taking crazy public safety measures that are kind of backwards, that make things worse. So we're just doing it to ourselves again, but like high tech, like in a high tech way.
yeah, and we have data to know what works and doesn't. We're still not listening to it.
Isn't that
Like back then, I
amazing?
kind of give them a pass because I don't think they really
Yeah.
knew.
The average person couldn't read or write. So any news you had about the plague, this is crazy too. It was like just being read to you by like the one person in your town that could read. So like, and there was only a few people that could write down what happened in the other town. So
I
like the way you got information was just so,
I
I don't
wonder.
know,
I wonder if the town reader got laid a lot because they were able to read and disseminate information.
maybe.
Hmm.
I was thinking that they were able to read and disseminate information, so they made more money,
Well,
and then
that too.
they could afford the prostitutes.
Yeah, I mean, they get drowning in pussy is just a fringe benefit.
In the brothel, that was probably like a public brothel. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure why I went off on that jag, but I think just because like all these things that keep happening, like I find myself less and less outraged by it, and more just like, oh, there we go. You know, Corolla says could go no other way. I remember Adam had that,
Man,
would
I'm
always
different.
talk.
I'm getting increasingly outraged. I'm like, let's talk some sense.
I mean, it's not like I'm just like, oh, well, we always done this to ourselves, so might as well just let it happen. It's not that way. I mean, I'm very much opposed to it all, but it's like, I don't know. It's it's so bizarre to me. I don't know.
How bizarre! How bizarre! I have a
Yeah,
question
like just
for you
just
too.
so like I was saying about the vaccination rates, or like the people that are vaccinated being told to mask up again because the viral load in your nose, even if you've been vaccinated and you get the Delta variant, like it's the same amount of COVID in your nasal passages from the other version. It's like, so put your mask back on, even though you've been vaccinated. I don't know. So weird. So weird.
By the way, nasal viral load is a great name for a thrash band. So thanks for that little tidbit.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Throw
All
back to
right.
Jaden too.
PM.
All right, so moving on to the Olympics. Growing up, I watched the Olympics a lot. I always found them to be fascinating, but then now growing up as an adult and finding out all the weird shit that goes on behind the scenes, it's very jarring. they're no. I don't sit and watch like I used to with the glee and enjoyment. It's more just like a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah.
I wonder what
I
it looks
think
like to watch
I
you
kind of
watch the
get
Olympics in Glee.
Ask my mom. You know,
Can you
So
try to give us
I
Glee
get it that
right
I
now?
think it's different when
not at the moment.
TV was so like just like one channel for every, like, or three channels, but there's just like one way to watch the Olympics. Everyone watched the one channel that was airing it. And so there was no internet to go read the current news, or I don't know. So I think now, because we have all these outlets and there's like social media is like feeding me all the latest news and all the opinions, and it's a little different. It's all opinion based.
It is different. Yep. That's a good topic because I think your experience of the Olympics every 2 or 4 years is like, I don't know. It is, there's so many factors that go into that, because I think, well, like I usually watch the Olympics, like not just when I was a kid, but I would watch a lot of the Olympics, like whatever the last ones that were on, because I think it was like 3 years ago maybe, and I had cable at the time, like regular cable, um, and I just do like streaming services now. So
Are they
I would
streaming on
watch the
YouTube?
Olymp
I know.
on you.
I
I don't
remember
know.
for me, like 1992.
I haven't really checked YouTube or to
Sorry,
like
I
because
think
I'm I know we have a lag going on. I haven't checked YouTube because like the way I would watch the Olympics is like at night. Like I would come home, I'd put it on, and I would just follow whatever the saga was for the night, like the lineup was like all night, and then like switch over to another channel, or like, they did the news. It was just like something I would have on and I would like just pay attention. So like watching highlights on YouTube or like, taking in the Olympics like that, I don't know. I'm just not compelled to do that at all.
I gotcha. All the sports suck. They don't draw your attention.
But you said you watched as a kid, right? Like what was the first Olympics you were into?
Oh
Do you
boy,
remember the first?
I don't really have a first memory. Um, I don't really have a first memory. I think that when I was a young kid, I probably wasn't that much in the Olympics, to be honest, because you're talking about when I was young, like we would have like a 19-inch black and white TV, and then we like upgraded to like a 20-inch color TV or something
Hell
like that.
yeah, living
You
life
know, you know
on
what
the
I
big
mean? And
scale.
it was
Yeah.
like it was either over antenna or basic cable, like the TV screens that were rounded still.
The
Like
tube TV,
yeah,
Like desktop. They're the equivalent of a desktop
the
TV.
CRT,
yeah. Whatever you call it, concave TV
convex.
screen, convex. Okay. Um, so like it wasn't very satisfying visually. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but you
like
didn't know any better. Like I get it, but like who the hell cared? You had no frame of
true,
reference to
but
better. So this seems like a bad excuse. Because I was very excited about the 92 Olympics. My sister and I mean, we had that on VHS and we watched it over and over. Like we knew it just like by memory. Like
92. Okay.
we knew the routines, we knew the music, we knew the scores, and
Wow.
we just loved it. Yeah.
What was your favorite
We didn't care.
sports?
It was on a tiny TV. We didn't care. That was the
Okay.
one with Shannon Miller. So it was, and Kim Zmeskal. So Kim Zmeskal like messed up in the qualifying round. She didn't qualify for the finals. It was a huge deal because she was the reigning world champion. Um, and then Kim Zmeskal, or sorry, Shannon Miller was up against the Soviet. So this was the unified team. They called the Soviets the unified team because they didn't have an official country.
Right.
And so they had a girl that also didn't qualify technically to the finals, the individual all around final. But they like said that the girl who did qualify, because she was the favorite, the one who didn't qualify was the favorite, but she also messed up. But the Russians were like, the other girl's injured, so we're gonna sweep in the girl we know who can win. And then she did. She beat Shan Miller by like a fraction of a point, and it was a big deal.
How do they score those events?
So they've changed the scoring over the years. So back in the day, it was a 10 point, it was out of 10 points, and there just wasn't a lot of room for difficulty. Like there were requirements, but you didn't get bonus points for doing more difficult skills. So it was really a lot more about perfection. And then they changed the scoring system up. I don't know, it was like 2000, 2004. And then they made it like 10, there was 10 points allotted for perfection and like deductions for mistakes. And then there was kind of a technically unlimited amount of extra difficulty points. So I think now like 15 is a really good score. If you get over 15 now, that's really good. If you get over 16, that's like on another realm. So it's really encouraged the gymnasts to do much more difficult moves. And I think that's why we've seen the Americans just become like the big powerhouses. And maybe because they've evolved to have the more muscular bodies, whereas in the past, everyone was like petite and more dainty and dancy.
Now everyone's fucking She-Hulk on the floor throwing down their routines, gesticulating.
Yeah, they're like
It
super
seems there's been like
tumblers.
a
And I mean,
proliferation of youth gymnastics centers, and that's really big around here. There's several of them where I'm sure it's like really expensive, and like it's so popular. I don't know. I guess it's not everywhere, but it's so popular around here.
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say earlier, like
I
when
think
I would
like that's why
watch.
Simone.
Sorry, I was just gonna say to wrap up from earlier, so when I was a young kid, there was one channel, NBC, that played the Olympics. So it was like, and that was it. So if they were showing something, terrible, it was like that was it. But not it didn't take but a few years after that where like now you had NBC, you had USA, you had CNBC, where there were multiple channels, in the NBC family that were playing the Olympics all the time. So yeah, then I started watching a lot more. So probably more as like I don't know, maybe late teens, early 20s, and then throughout up until a few years ago, I watched the Olympics a lot. Anyway, my experience this
Yeah.
year is like, I wonder why I'm not really compelled to watch the Olympics this year. Like part of it is like, if you don't have like cable, like regular cable, then that's that, because you don't have NBC and all those channels. I guess you can maybe buy the streaming something or other. I don't know.
Your heart's just not in it as a viewer like it used to be.
Maybe not. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's other
Yeah.
factors, right?
Yeah.
There's, like Jane was saying, like the messages or like the opinions of all the athletes, and it's like you're starting to see a system where it's like creating controversy as an Olympic athlete might actually be good for business, like good for you.
Yeah.
Good for like, because that's kind of what Nike needs in the next couple of years, is a renegade.
Much like sex, controversy sells.
Yeah, they need a wholesome athlete to
Yeah.
sell one type of shoe. They need like a renegade athlete that does protests or whatever to
Doesn't
sell
play by
other
his own
shoes,
rules or the sports league's rules. He makes them
or
up.
her rules, or
It's
yeah, all the other
their
choices.
their
Mhm.
rules. Makes up their rules as they see fit. Anyway.
Well, speaking of all that gymnastic stuff,
Yeah.
Simone Biles quit. At least she quit the team event, right? But has she bowed
She's
out
out
of
of the
anything
individual all
else?
around too now.
Oh, really? So
Yes,
now what
she's
is she
out of the
gonna?
individual all around.
Okay, so she dropped out of that. Has there been any more So at first it was like medical, then it was mental or whatever. I don't really have any opinions on it, but has there been any more developments as to like what caused all this? Jane, I'm going to you because you're
I
now our
think, I
gymnastics
mean, I've heard.
expert.
You figured it'd be Robbie. Spotlight, he's
I've
not here.
only, yeah, I've only read like stuff that's popped up in my social media, but from what I gather, it's definitely a mental issue and not physical. And it's hard to know whether, there's different perspectives to take, like it's a team competition. And she kind of said to herself, you know what? I'm not feeling my best. I think you guys are gonna be better off as a team with the other, the fourth person going up there in the events. So, I mean, if that's if that was in her heart, then I think that's really admirable. If and Adam kind of put it pretty well today, I thought. He's like,
I don't think I've heard that yet.
created this box you can check called. Oh, okay. So his take was, well, we've now just in general created this mental health box that you can check and be like, I'm not feeling it. And there's no like push through. You kind of gives yourself an excuse not to push further. Now, I think if this were a case where she let's say only 3 of them are on the team and you had to compete for 3 scores to count, like you didn't have anyone to come in for you, right? Hypothetically. Right. So in this case, she could bow out and there was someone else there to take her place.
There was a reserve.
But if that weren't the case, yes. So there's 4 gymnasts, but if I understand correctly, only 3, you choose 3 per event. So Simone backed out, but so all the other 3 had to do all the rest of the events.
Okay.
And so I'm saying if you didn't have that flexibility within the team, would she have bowed out? And I don't think she would have. I don't think she would have just let her team down to, screw them out of a third of the points. She just would have, maybe she would have simplified her routines or something. But yeah, I just kind of wonder if you had given her that level of pressure, would she have pulled through?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, if there wasn't a reserve to fill in for her, I mean, it was going to be just, they wouldn't be in the running because they got the silver, right? We got the silver. Was it pretty?
Yeah, they did well enough to get the silver, and maybe that's what they would have gotten if she had done it as well. If she had been in there as well.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
Hell yeah, everybody, we did it. Silver.
Yeah, silver's the best. I mean, hold on. No, so we weren't like a lock to get the gold as a team over the Russians. Did the Russians got the gold?
Yeah. I didn't watch any of the Russians, so I don't know. I'm kind of curious about what they were like. But
I don't know. Harry.
So I think so to me, and then if we go back to the whole scoring thing, there was this whole controversy about Simone Biles not being scored fairly for difficulty because they said you need to reel it in. You're like, this is too much. We need to give other gymnasts a chance. And some people are speculating that she was pissed off at that, but I don't know if I buy that, but it is true. I think in international competition, the judges are, they're more quote unquote diverse. They might be from, I think Eastern European countries tend to favor the more feminine, dancey, graceful type of gymnastics.
Okay.
And they want to see rather than like the American powerhouses, which to us is like super fun. And I was, the last few weeks, my feed in Facebook has been featuring all these like gymnasts from the past. And it's really interesting to watch because they were not as difficult, but they were very, very graceful and they were so perfected. And, like every toe was pointed, every leg was straight. And it was just, there was no wobbles. I mean, of course, they're featuring, the best of the best routines, and I kind of wonder if the international judges are kind of want the more
Sure.
graceful,
Well, it's
the old school style rather than just
Sure.
like pure force.
I can kind of understand that. I mean, I can understand that because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. Obviously, I'd like whatever our style is, we want to win. But
Right. No,
yeah, I can
and I
get that where
totally
it's
get
not
that.
just like this chick is like a freaking physical specimen and is gonna just go, do something insanely physical and nuts, versus I don't know, some kind of graceful, I don't know, but I'm not a
Right. It's like no one can
I'm
live
not an
up to
expert
Simone
on
Biles'
gymnastics. No.
her level of difficulty in terms of the flips and
Yeah.
how many turn rotations and all that. But in terms of danger, like all her stuff is just dangerous.
I will say
But
there's one experience that I'm having is that, and I really haven't watched the Olympics yet, but that 4 or 5 years ago when we had the Summer Olympics and the gymnastics, there was like, didn't we have like the Dream Team or the Fab Five, whatever they call themselves?
yeah, the final five. There, I forget
Was
why they
it
call
something like that? And it was like a team thing, and it was like all about the team. And I think I could name like 3 of them at least. But then this year, not actually watching, but just watching all the hype. Like this has been all about Simone Biles. I couldn't name another gymnast on the US team. So there's definitely a different, like, I guess there's like a different media burden on her. Whereas
Yeah.
last year it was like kind of like spread out over 4 or 5 girls. So
Yeah. I mean, it's true that like the stuff she does is absolutely incredible, like stuff that only men do, and like multiple moves named after her. And I really enjoy that. It's so fun to watch her just like fly, and she like springs higher than everyone. But there is something I think after watching all these other videos that were being popping up for me with like the Romanians and the Russians, and like there was something incredible about them too. Like so much perfection that you're like, oh my gosh, they're like robots, but they're also there's some human, it's like a personality. They're just so feminine
so
and
they like
strong.
more gracefulness or dance kind of in it
Yeah.
than power
Yeah.
or like sheer athletic feats, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna let more information come in about this. I know there's been a lot. It's been kind of controversial in some, saying that male athletes wouldn't get a pass like that. Um, I don't know. People on Twitter kind of going after her a bit about quitting on her team. Um, I could kind of see it from both ways, both angles.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I try not to pass judgment. We don't know what was really going through her head. So,
And
But
it's
that's
easy
the
for
magic
people.
of the
Yeah.
box, of the mental health box. That's the magic
yes,
of the box.
exactly. She didn't create the box, it's there for
That's
her
true.
to check. So, can
The
we blame her for doing
dogs
that?
on planes people are the ones that created the box.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. And now they've destroyed our gymnastics team. Everything gets tied back to people with
Oh,
their dogs on planes.
By the way, I can't wait for the next Olympic Games where they introduced the new what is it, the new events where it's dogs on planes competing, one of those courses. They stripped the interior of the plane and just replace it with one of those courses, and the owner runs alongside the plane.
They're
Just
gonna
for
say
fun. They'll throw
no,
it
no,
in.
no. Oh no,
it's gonna be
animals.
pole dancing.
Only
Pole dancing
horses.
in 4
Only
years.
horses can be in the Olympics.
Oh, only horses. Okay.
Ah! I I think they were trying to make pole dancing an Olympic sport at one point.
Pole dancing
I
2024.
actually think that was a thing.
I mean, why not make it
Yeah, I
happen?
think so. I didn't make that up.
Those viewership
Yeah.
numbers up. Let's get those ratings up.
Oh, they could mix it like women's beach volleyball. It's like a triathlon where the women's beach volleyball players have, oh no, whatever is just two sports, a biathlon, right? Yeah, they have to play beach volleyball and pole dance for a combined score
No, man, combine the two sports
for a
and
super gold medal.
play volleyball while you're doing your pole dance. You gotta time it right. Everyone's dancing, everyone's fucking
I
volleying.
feel like, just because I'm always thinking about the ladies. I feel
Yeah.
like they're all sandy and shit. They got like sand on their thighs, and then you're asking them to get up on the pole.
Well,
man.
no, I
Be
figured
a lot
there's
of chafing.
I figured there's a platform where the poles are installed so to keep away all the chafing, all the sand and all that, Yeah.
But then,
Or maybe they have it in an indoor setup where it's just completely away from the sand altogether. It's just, yeah.
Part of the game, part of the beauty of the game is women's beach volleyball is when,
oh yeah, sorry.
when they have to like dive in the sand to like do a dig or whatever you call
Never mind.
it,
This
right?
is a crackpot idea that I just came to mind.
And then you record it back, and then you play it forward in slow motion when they're getting up out of the sand. Some people do. Some people do.
Sure,
if your TV has that, has that option. But that's a big part of the game. So if you're talking about putting them up on like a pedestal, I don't know, man. We got to think about the integrity of the game.
Well, it wasn't about putting them up on a pedestal. I was just thinking how crazy would it be if you combined stripping and volleyball. Or I'm sorry, pole dancing and volleyball.
Yeah. I was just going to separate it, but
maybe that's just
I like where your head's at.
talking.
I like where your head's at, Eventually it could be like indoor. They could be on a pole and like be able to maneuver around the court.
Exactly.
So
we're going places with this.
Yeah, pole dancing 2024.
Let's make it happen, people.
All right, I'm there. I want to compete.
Shit,
smaller, crappier. I need a smaller, crappier country to move to, though, so I have a chance.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a good one. So why don't we stop yapping about this and segue into the news, because we have some related Olympic stories. So Jane's got news.
Hit us with it, Jane.
Fun little piece. Yeah. All right. So there was a swimmer, an Olympic swimmer named Yusra Mardini, and she's a Syrian refugee living in Germany. And this is her second Olympics for the refugee Olympic team. So her family's house was destroyed in the civil war in Syria. And she has this like crazy story about getting out of there. So she and her sister fled after their house was destroyed, and they made it to Turkey, and then they were smuggled into Greece by boat on a little dinghy boat with 18 other migrants. So this boat's only supposed to hold like 6 or 7 people. And then the motor broke, and it was like starting to gain water. Like it was, I don't know if it was like sinking, but you're like, oh shit. So she, being, a swimmer, she had been training for years in Syria. So she and her sister and then 2 other people who could swim, like the 4 people who could swim, just got off the boat and started like treading water while they worked to fix it, to like reduce the weight in the boat. And then, so they had to do that for 3 hours. And then finally it was fixed, and they made it to Greece, and then they went by foot to Germany, and she settled in Berlin. So pretty crazy. Yeah. She swims in a butterfly and freestyle. Yeah. So I forgot about this refugee team, but yeah, it's the second. They started this for the 2016 Olympics because of the civil war in Syria. And because they wanted to allow athletes to
just for Syria, or is it the refugee team?
No, it's for anyone.
All the refugees.
It was created because of the Syrian refugee problem, but it was open to anyone.
I think there have been things like that in the past, right? Where they've made special teams for people that are like that may have happened when like Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia broke up in that time, where there was like a team,
Yeah.
just kind of like a white label team for
Well,
those athletes that
that was
had
the
no
Soviet
country.
in 92, the Soviet Union had broken up, so they were the unified team.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then after that, they had their own, like Ukraine as a team and
Yeah.
Estonia, Latvia, all the stands.
Is Russia allowed to actually be Russia in these Olympics? Because weren't
Yeah.
they
Yeah, the
prohibited from
Russians
actually
won the
being
gymnastics.
okay, but as Russia, not because
Yes.
weren't they forced to compete either 2 or 4 years ago? They were forced to compete as like again like a white label team. Like it was basically Russia was banned from the Olympics, but they didn't want to screw those
Oh,
athletes over, so those athletes were allowed to compete under the Olympic flag. Maybe that was it. Maybe the white label team was just like an Olympic generic Olympic team that from no country. That way the athlete could win a medal, but it just wouldn't be attributed to Russia's Olympic medal history. Which I'm sure
I see.
in Russia, there's going to be like, fuck that, we're going to count it. We're going to count that as one of ours. So in their history books, I'm sure it'll be a Russian victory. But yeah, they've
Well,
done weird
speaking of
things like
other,
that.
yeah. So speaking of, countries with an ego. So that was my good news story, but this is the bad news story is China criticized NBC Universal for showing an incomplete map of its country in the broadcast of the opening ceremonies because it didn't incorporate Taiwan and the South China Sea, and these are like big hot topics. So the Chinese consulate in New York said this display hurt the dignity and emotions of the Chinese people. We urge NBC to recognize the serious nature of this problem and take measures to correct the error.
What's done is done, man.
Yeah. But
Does anyone care?
China
well,
cares.
I bet you
Okay,
NBC
but
cares.
the rest of
And
the world rolls their eyes.
I don't think they do. I think we do. I think NBC executives are probably up all night trying to figure out what to do to make sure that Fast Nine, hits all the theaters over there. I don't even know if they're
So,
connected, but you know what I mean? All these
okay,
media companies are
I have a
so
follow up
connected.
on this. Funny you say that because they have not said anything. So it's been nearly a week. And as of 2 days ago, NBC has chosen, this is according to the AP News, NBC News has chosen not to engage in debate following complaints from China over the weekend about how the network depicted the country's map. Relations between the network and China are worth watching, however, since NBC Universal is set to broadcast and stream the 2022 Winter Games from the host city of Beijing. So it'll be interesting to see
Oh,
how
yeah.
this goes like long term. But they haven't said anything yet. They have not offered up an apology, and that is not the case. There are other instances. So oh gosh, where is it? Here we go. Johns Hopkins was reporting about coronavirus, and they did not include Taiwan in this in the South China Sea, and then they reversed it. They updated to include them, showing because China had complained, and they were like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "All right, we'll bow to you." I don't
Yeah,
know
a
if it's
lot of
because they have
people a lot of people
students.
care a lot about what China thinks.
Yeah, but
Uh-huh.
not for moral reasons. It's like for
Oh, of course not.
financial
No.
reasons. Yeah, and then Gap. So Gap also apologized because they sold a T-shirt that had an incorrect map of China, according to China.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's weird because I just think about like NBC. So yeah, NBC in the old days, it would be NBC be worried about what's their coverage going to be like in Beijing. But it goes way beyond that because NBC or whatever company they're part of now, NBC, Comcast, whatever they are. I mean, I don't even know. NBC might as well just be AT&T. It's just all one big company, that it gives, in some sense, it gives China more power, because they can be like, oh, no, 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 you're going to revise your map, or like, we're going to we're going to shut down like production of your movies in our country. We're going to make it harder for all your movie divisions, because you're not just NBC, a TV like a broadcast TV channel now. You're like a massive corporation that does media, at every single level. Like, they just be like, we'll just make sure, your movies won't get approved. So, and then so NBC's just like, well, damn, this could be like $1 billion mistake. Let's just change that map.
Yeah.
But you're saying they held their ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, but it hasn't been very long. So we'll see.
Yeah. Or they appear to hold their ground, to be holding their ground here, but what they're saying over there might be a different story. So, but
Well, I think
NBC
if they do
doesn't
anything, they have to make
broadcast.
it public. Like, China wants to see it be public.
Yeah. Well, like it, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, they do hold a lot of power over us. over our media companies, put it that way. Like news, entertainment.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
It is scary. It is scary. And there's no kind of movement about it yet. There's just, certain people talking about it with no traction.
Yeah. I mean, we're all guilty too, because we're all consumers here in the United States, and we like having, like buying things that are cheap, that are,
cheap stuff,
less expensive, put it that way, and fast.
Right.
I miss quality built items.
It's like if we were going to be like a boycott China, like you wouldn't be able to order stuff from Amazon anymore. Like, I don't know.
Man, I've got stuff that's like clearly, you look at it and you're like, this was clearly made by a 5-year-old. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's good in a way, because it does. I think there is a case to be made that it lifts people out of poverty. Yeah, of course, there's big opportunities for abuse for sure as well. But then it's also like we're seeing the bad part of it, because it gives like a country like China so much power over us, like what we consume, like how movies are made that we watch, that have to be sensitive to them.
Yeah. So I think it's going to have to go the way of the environment, right? Like it's going to have to like be like the environmental movement, where there's just social pressure to go against it.
Have we talked about that? I know you and I have talked about it before.
To go against hurting the environment. Like there became a social pressure to go against hurting the environment. I think we're going to have to do the same thing with China. That's the only way that's the only way to get out of it.
Yeah. We tried it with like was it the Uyghurs, the Muslims that they're committing genocide against, allegedly. We tried it with that, and people were just like, what's a few less Uyghurs? It's too hard to say. Like the word's not spelled right. Like you started with a U and a Y, but you call it Uyghur, and if it's pronounced Uyghur, like that's not cool. It's not sympathetic if you're gonna F us up with your name right off the bat, how it's spelled and pronounced. But yeah, maybe you're right that there's got to be some kind of species in China that is endangered, so that the Sierra Club and all those guys get on board. But I'm sure China's already bought them, because they're crazy. They'll donate money to these foundations and these organizations that kind of buy their silence, keep them kind of quiet.
Have I ever talked about the word they made up for Western liberals, like Western leftist? Okay.
Yes, but I forget what it is.
It's called Baizuo.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't plan for this, but it is very fitting. So the word is Baizuo, Baizuo, it literally means white left, and it's a Chinese derogatory term used to refer to Western leftist ideologies primarily espoused by white leftists. And it's a sarcastic reference to those whose political opinions are perceived as being guided by emotions or a hypocritical show of selflessness and empathy. Like, they understand our weak points. I'm like, this is them paying attention. They know how to weaken us. And I think there's, you hear conspiracies that they're funding BLM. And my initial reaction is like, but then when I see this, they've made up a word for this, I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe they are.
I just pray that we're doing similar things to fuck with their society as well.
No, I don't think we are. We're not that wise. They're wiser than we are. They don't
there's some people. No, I think there's some people in certain agencies that are pretty wise. I mean, the politicians that are like at the top of the show are not at all. They have no idea what's going on. But there's probably some that are like that operate on their own that I hope are, running programs to destabilize Chinese culture, Chinese society. I don't know. I hope, like, I don't know, encourage them to hack, encourage them encouraging them how to get around their government's, like cybersecurity police. I don't know, doing what they can. Cause what you would do here, in America is different than what you do in China, but I don't know. I just hope, like, when the whole election and like Donald Trump won and there was all these accusations of Russian interference and all this stuff in the election, I was like, yeah, I assume they're trying all the time to do that kind of shit. And I just hope that we're trying to do the stuff to them as well. And also playing defense. Like, let's be grown-ups about this. Like, this is the modern world. Like, countries are trying to fuck with each other all the time. Like, I hope we're trying to do some stuff back.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But who knows?
Well, I found a cute little like old news story in my historical LA Times book that Manny got me about.
Oh, so that was a gift to you. Okay.
I don't know if it was a gift. He's at least letting me.
It is.
You said my, and I was like, well, she owns this book now.
Yeah, that was the whole point. It's like, I have no use for it. I don't have any place in my space in my place for it. So figure better use for it on the show.
Thank you, Manny. Yeah, it's really fun to like page through. Okay. So I decided to look at it might be. I mean, so I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show, but it's 100 years of the LA Times front pages. So there's like a couple for every year starting. So it's 1881 to 1981, which I guess was their 100th anniversary.
Okay.
Anyway, so for this week, I was like, oh, let's do Olympics. And I was like, oh, 84 Olympics. That was after this book was published. So I had to go back to 1932 when LA hosted the Olympics. And sure enough, there was a headline. And so the Olympics were held, this was kind of in the height of the Depression. And unlike normal Olympics, the President Hoover did not go. So he stayed back. But there was a custom, and I couldn't find out like what the history was with this custom, but the world leader of the nation hosting the Olympics is supposed to break bread with the athletes. So like literally like have a loaf of bread with the athletes. So they, but because he didn't go to the games, they had to like fly in a loaf of bread from wherever it was and like give it to him. So Representative Engelbright of California presented a loaf of bread to President Hoover at the White House, explaining it was a custom for the reigning head of the nation acting as host to the athletes to partake of the same bread at his own table that the competitors at the games eat at their training table. Engelbright said the bread had been sent by airplane in order that the historic custom established in the last century could be continued. Mr. Hoover replied that he appreciated the gesture, gladly would accept the bread, and place it on his luncheon table in order that he might join in some way with the Olympic athletes. And that's the end of the article.
Wow.
I kind of questioned journalism back in this day because some of these stories do not do the who, what, when, where, or how. Aren't you supposed to like say be
Maybe
straight
that
to
was
the
a
point?
modern invention. It wasn't implemented.
Yeah, it must be. Some of these stories are just like, whoa, dude.
Do you like being a reporter back then? That would have been a hard job because you have to get, I mean, you have to, you have to transport yourself from place to place. You have to talk to these people. Like no one has a damn phone.
Exactly.
You know,
You're
it's like-
essentially walking clickbait is what you are.
Yeah, it's like, what do? You like have to leave notes for people. Like, I will call you at the hotel lobby phone at 7 p.m. every night this week in the hopes that you will answer it so that we can then talk and set up a meeting. Like it would take so long to gather information back then, right?
I know.
Like you would just have to count
It's
on
like
you would just
unfathomable now.
yeah, you would just have to count on shit that people told you. Like, well, my friend told me that they sent this loaf of bread. Like, okay. Well, then we have it on good reports that there was a loaf of bread sent to the White House or something, and this is what the president said. Yeah, it'd be so hard, like logistically, to get information back then than it is today. But it's a touching story about bread.
Yeah.
No, but the
Yeah, this
32
one
like
is
so it's the
super
middle
fun
of
to look through.
depression. Interesting.
I wish we had
So-
more
I also-
stories on bread out there in print right now. That's all I have to say.
Well, this
What
just kind of
about what's
goes
in
to
print?
oh, sorry, go ahead, Manny.
No, I was just gonna say that there needs to be more bread articles in print. Big Bread's PR is failing them,
Yeah.
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 That's all I have to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I can't say anything but yeah to that.
I caught Chris off guard like no other right now. With that. He's probably working for the enemy. That's what he's doing over there in Oklahoma. He's like, shit, they're onto me. I gotta rework my strategy.
Like tortillas have really really taken over. Really taken over. With kids like to just eat tortillas,
Yeah.
instead of a loaf of white bread, like a Wonder Bread,
Much like China has its fangs in everything in America, we have our fangs in, food. That's how we get you. That's how we bring you
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
little by little, and you don't even know it.
What are you bringing us over to? Just Tex-Mex food in general, or
Tex-Mex food.
is there like a revolution happening eventually or something exciting?
Yes, exactly. Viva la mantequilla.
La Raza. Now,
I
what was I gonna say? Before we got real deep into bread.
Your love of the band bread. I know you're a big fan. You've talked to my ear off about them before.
I never even heard of that band before Adam Carolla started talking about it.
Oh, okay.
I'm serious, I haven't.
They've always been in my periphery. I just never got around to listening to them.
Bread. What was their
Yeah.
song again?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were gonna at least know one song.
No, I need to brush up on my bread discography, to be honest with everybody.
I think they just had one disc.
Yeah. Well, one's all you need.
Oh, what was I going to say? I was going to say that so this is an Olympics in the middle of the Depression, and a bunch of nations didn't show up for it. Of course, that a lot of traditions didn't take place, but like kind of goes towards what I was saying earlier about like we've been fucking things up since the beginning. We're just doing it in different ways now. But like, I think, and maybe like in my experience, I witnessed many Olympics that went off flawlessly. like maybe all of our experiences that because we kind of we're kind of growing up in a can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, go on.
It just changed from my Bluetooth to my wired headphone. Sorry. That we grow up with the Olympics in a period where like the marketing was kick ass, the technology was coming along, there were some of these channels and phone apps and websites and all these things to where yeah, we kind of were lucky with that, I guess. Uh, things were going really well there for a long time. You know, and now
Yeah.
it's like Olympics are delayed and there's all kinds of, you know, there's no one in the stadiums.
I mean, we're at least like we held them. So, I mean, they skipped 2 Olympics, I think, for World War II, probably
Yeah.
one for World War I as well.
Yeah.
So, at least ours was only delayed.
You know, just because of a pandemic, nothing serious like a world war. So there's also that.
I guess there's people in Japan that are protesting the Olympics too. Like they didn't even think it should happen, but it's hard to say like if it's 20 people or, you know, 20% of their population that feels this way.
Maybe it's Japan's version of the far left or the national movement that doesn't want all that ruckus there. Who knows?
They don't want these damn foreigners coming into their
Exactly.
what is it? Nippon?
Nippon, yeah.
Nippon? Oh, I'm sorry. I put my Japanese accent on there.
Ooh.
I didn't know you had one. What'd you see, Jane?
Yeah, what happened?
Nothing. I
Oh, okay.
I had a thought, but it was like a tipsy thought that I would rather hold in
Keep
for
to yourself.
later.
run it through some filters first. See whether that thought should come out.
Yeah.
Good call.
But yeah, like crazy times. I guess crazy times back then. And they take crazy measures, I guess, to try to hold traditions, and then eventually we get back to it, I guess. So if there's reason to be optimistic, you know.
This will be back to all our craziness eventually, people. Don't worry.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another
It'll always
couple.
be crazy.
Yeah, we'll have a couple or a few
don't you
decades
think
where things
what's
go
happening
well.
now? I mean, I don't mean to take this on another tangent, but I do feel like my personal thought is that right now is a different type of crazy. Like it's been crazy in the past, but what we're experiencing now and sort of like the rift between people and like segregating them and wanting like vaccinated people not to be able, unvaccinated people not to be able to do things or participate in society. I don't know. It feels a little like this is not the path to go down.
Oh, I agree.
How
I mean,
dangerous is
it's
it?
crazy.
Is it about danger or is it about just punishing people for not doing what you think is the right thing?
Yeah. There's a large chunk of people out there that are just they've made up their mind like how this thing was going to happen. So like everything that happens, they put it through this filter of it must fit what I decided a year ago, you know, a year and a half ago, whose fault it was, what was safe, what was not safe. People are going off of like still going off of their gut reaction, you know, in early 2020 and just sticking to it versus just kind of staying in an open stance, you know, as Adam Carolla would say, to all the information that's coming at you all the time, and going with it. So,
Yep.
But
Well,
I think it's crazy. It's the same crazy. It all comes from the same place in the human, in the dark human heart. But we just have all these different tools now to bludgeon each other with our crazy, and then it seems weird because you know, we have access to so much information, but people still make decisions off of like scary headlines.
Don't let the headlights scare you, people. They're just headlines.
Like that's always been happening, but it's just we're able to just do so much more damage now. I don't know, or not. I don't know.
Well, either way, people should learn to think for themselves and read between the bullshit, all the lines, everything.
Yeah,
Exactly.
In the
I think
meantime,
so.
they're more than welcome to follow us. Join our Facebook group, Endless Runners Podcast. You can check in and find out when we're going to be doing our what seems originally was going to be a bi-weekly hang, but they just happen when they can happen. But join the group, stay in the loop, find out, and hang with us when we do them. They're fun. We always get kind of rowdy, sometimes blue. You can follow us on Instagram, Endless Runners Podcast, Endless Runners on Twitter, and Endless Runners at Gmail. Don't forget to give our feminist pastor, Robbie Spotlight, a follow as well on all the platforms. Reach out to him if you're having, some moral quandaries or you're just troubled in general by all things that life has thrown your way. He'll gladly reach out and lend a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on. And then check me out, howwefigure.com, How We Figure on all the platforms. I'm still busy on behind the scenes shit with that, but don't worry. Things are happening. And thanks for supporting. Thanks for listening. Thanks for always tuning in on the weekly to everybody on YouTube.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, we have fallen off a little bit on the bi-weekly Zoom party, the Zoom gathering. But it's because it's so fun. That's why.
It is.
And sometimes it can go on for like 2, 3, 4 hours, and it's like, whew, wasn't ready to.
I'd like to commit to you guys.
Wasn't ready to that.
We have to
That's true.
ourselves.
Yeah. It is kind of like it's not something we feel like we could just be like, let's do it for 45 minutes or so.
Exactly. It has to be a long hang.
Yeah.
But before we wrap, I also just want to say to the people that listen audio only, I apologize for the delay. There was no audio recording to download, so I had to rip it from the internet, get clever with it in order to get the audio file. But I will be working on it, and both episodes will be out by the end of this week. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Thanks for all your hard work. And like you said, thanks everybody for listening, supporting the show. Thanks for chatting with us. Do you have anything? I don't have that up. I don't have that window up in our YouTube, but for our regulars, thanks for watching tonight. Do they have any?
Backhand.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure they didn't have any questions or comments that should be read or anything like that. So.
We're good.
Okay. That's good. I felt bad because we check in a little bit more with the chat.
Appreciate everyone though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, from beautiful Norman, Oklahoma, I'm going to sign off saying, get it on.
Get it on.
Get it on, everybody.
So is it, do I have a bad internet here at the hotel? Maybe I'm lagging, or is Jane lagging, or everybody? I don't know.
No, I think it's me. I think it's probably me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we started getting used to it, I guess, a little bit. It's a little bit harder early on. Oh.
Yeah, I got a little rambly there. Bruin Backhand actually did have some comments, but then I couldn't see them until after we had moved on. So it was like,
oh yeah, you got to scroll up or whatever.
So, yeah, no, he talked about China and like their new army recruitment videos compared to ours.
Is it like those weird CIA recruitment videos where they're like, we're intersectional, we're this, we're that? Or is it more hardcore?
Yeah, I'm sure they're making fun of all of that from us. Like, they are not into any of that woke shit. Like, they know the woke shit is weakening us, so they know not to go that route.
They're just playing the waiting game. It's like, soon this will all come crashing down on them.
Yeah.
Well, they're at such an advantage because they just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we're kind of
no, but they do care. They're playing the long game.
No, I mean, they don't like human rights. They don't care about human.
They don't have a sense of moral.
That's exactly what I mean. They don't really care about civil rights or anything like
Yeah.
like that's you know, it's like does not compute for them. They don't really care about religious rights or anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of it's very freeing. It's just kind of
Yeah, but you're
strange.
morally empty.
Well, it's strange because I don't think the Chinese people are amoral people or
I don't
immoral or
either.
amoral. So at
They're
some
just kind of
point, like,
passive, so they don't stand up to their government.
yeah, but that dynamic never stays the same forever, does it? With any, I don't know, like at some point that dynamic changes and it's like, oh no, 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 we found out that you're doing cruel things in our name and we don't like it, you know, and yes, we do like this regime and how they've brought us along into the first world and we have all this modernity, but at some point like societies say, but we're not quite willing to sacrifice like you like wiping out groups of people, you know, like it's not that important that we gain
We
all
don't seem to be
these.
getting to that point with them. We seem to give them a pass. We seem to
No,
give
not
them a
us,
pass.
it's a relationship between the government of China and its own people, because I don't think they
Yeah.
are horrible people. I don't know. I guess every, you know, in their culture they may just have a different relationship with government. I don't know.
It's more passive.
More passive, I guess. Yeah, it's not like, you know, like in the United States, it's like we are the government, we the people, blah 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 blah. You know, all
Yeah.
that stuff. That's not like a mantra in China. I don't know, or if it is, it's a little bit different.
It's a lot more in your face. Oh no, I figure it's like that here in America. Never mind.
Or they're just really good at corruption. They're like really good at this, and we used to be really good at this kind of thing.
We've gotten lazy. We've slacked
And
off.
and we're not really good at this thing.
We've outsourced our corruption. That's why we've gotten. Well, that's why we've.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right, I'm gonna split, hit the shower, and go to bed.
All
It
right,
was
buddy.
lovely
Yeah, it's
hanging
getting a
with
little
y'all.
late. Getting a little
Yeah.
late for you.
Absolutely. I'm waking up like on the same time zone as Jane is now. Fucking what is it, Central Time or whatever the fuck, Mountain Time?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's weird functioning in that space, but whatever. It's a learning experience.
How's Robbie doing? What's
On
he
my
what's going?
130.
Huh?
Rob. Rob? What's Rob doing?
Yeah. What was that? 1:30 you said?
I said, Manny, don't you get off at 1:30 now? That's pretty
Oh,
good.
I mean, sometimes. Well, on today's route, yeah. I mean, yesterday I got back around 3, but that was because I was in San Diego. Just depends where I'm driving.
Oh, you drive that far? Or no, San Diego's not that far. What? Hour, 2 hours?
Too, yeah.
Two? Okay.
It's just all about starting early, so you beat that stupid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'll catch y'all
Yeah.
later.
I'm in this
right,
hotel
I gotta
for
go.
one more night. So I'll talk to y'all soon.